Hi, Dan Casey here. Strategies to make sure you don't outlive your money. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started on strategies to make sure you don't outlive your money from a popular seminar that I've done in the past. Okay, so our main goal here is to find the gap, right? You're getting your guaranteed income coming in from Social Security and maybe pensions if you're lucky, and then there's going to be an amount of income you want. Maybe it's whatever's coming in, Social Security and pensions, and if that's it, then there's probably not a whole lot of strategy. You probably just want to protect and grow maybe and give to heirs. But if there is a gap between what's coming in guaranteed and what you want to maintain your lifestyle, maybe to travel, see the grandkids, all that fun stuff, then here are some strategies to help you do that, just that, okay? So when someone first comes into my office, this is kind of what we're going through, all right? We're looking at the husband's Social Security, the wife's, any pensions coming in, okay? We're obviously looking at Social Security strategies to make sure that we optimize that. And you can watch one of my previous videos to make sure that you're aware of the strategies still left for Social Security. Okay? In this particular example, we've got $4,000 coming in that's guaranteed income, right? That's income you cannot outlive. Will go to you for the rest of your life if you're married, to your spouse for the rest of his or her life. Okay? So that's the guaranteed income. However, in this example, $6,000 is what's needed to maintain their lifestyle, okay? So we've got a gap of $2,000. Here are the three real main instruments or strategies to fill that gap. We've got stock market portfolio. That's pretty much you just put your money into a balanced, diversified portfolio in the stock market and withdraw a certain amount of money, okay? If it gets up to that 4, 5, 6% that you need from that portfolio to fill that gap, it's way too much for a stock market portfolio in my example, and I'm going to show you in just a second why I think so. Income portfolio, that's your classic Warren Buffett style portfolio where you're building preferred shares, utility stocks, bank stocks. It's your money kicking off dividends, and it's the dividends that you're living off. It's those dividends that are filling the gap, okay? And we're not touching your principal. It may go up and down with the market, but your income that it's producing will not change. Of course, some companies will reduce dividends, but if you're in a diversified portfolio of stocks, it's really not going to affect you that much, okay? And of course, in an annuity. So we go from less guaranteed, obviously the stock market's not guaranteed, right? It goes up and it goes down, to more guaranteed. And annuity is going to provide you obviously that, okay? So let's go into those three things real quick. Stock market portfolio. What are the pros and cons of that? Pros are obviously that it's liquid, right? It's 100% liquid. You can access it at any time. Of course, the risk is if the market's going down and you're taking money out, that's usually not very good for a portfolio. We have growth potential, obviously, right? Cons, potential for loss, it's pretty obvious, and it's not guaranteed, okay? So it depends on what those pros mean to you. Do you not have much money and you need to grow it? Then maybe this is better. Do you need it 100% liquid all the time? Maybe this is better, okay? Let's go into what can go wrong though. We've got the accumulation side. When you're in your 30s and 40s, you're in your accumulation mode, right? When you're in your 60s and you start to retire, then you're in your distribution mode, right? Two totally different animals when it comes to how to handle your money. On the accumulation side, you can see, let's assume you're a 40-year-old and you're putting money away, okay? If you're up here and you're putting money away, $500,000, and let's say these are the returns that you're getting in that portfolio, okay? By the way, completely made up returns. But I wanted to show you some really good years in the beginning and really bad ones at the end, okay? And by the way, the average of this is about 8%, which is what the average broker would tell you that the market's going to do, right? So you start out with $500,000, you get some awesome returns at the beginning, terrible returns at the end, and at the end, you've got $4.9 million, right? Not too bad. Now let's go over to this side. Same thing, we're going to start with $500,000. We're going to absolutely flip every one of these returns, okay? So you can see the blue box is now at the bottom, red is at the top. So we're starting out, and everything in between also is completely flipped. So we're starting out with some bad years in the beginning, okay? And then we have some really awesome years at the end, And I don't know if you can see that on your screen, but the amount at the end is $4.9 million, the same exact amount over here. My point being, when you're on the accumulation side and you're just growing money and not withdrawing money, it doesn't matter if we get good returns at the beginning, bad returns at the end, or vice versa, okay? Now, let's look at what happens when when we're on the distribution side, okay? Whoop. So, same thing, 500,000 we're starting out. Same returns, awesome years in the beginning, bad years in the end, right? But we're gonna start taking out $35,000 from this portfolio, and we're gonna give ourselves a little raise to keep up with inflation, okay? So you can see if we start out with some great years, the value at the end is, at age 94, $467,000 and change. Not bad. We started out with 500,000. We ended up with almost 500,000, and we took all those withdrawals. Isn't that great? Okay, well, that's if you start out with some good years. If we switch it again with the blue box or red boxes on the top, blue is on the bottom, and everything in between, starting out with some bad years in the beginning, and same thing, taking out our same amount, giving ourselves a little raise. Can you see what happens at age 81? You're bankrupt. You ran out of money. Okay, this is called sequence of returns, and it's broker's dirty little secret. If they aren't licensed for any insurance products to give you guarantees that you want or you may need, they're going to want to put your money in the stock market, okay? And they're going to tell you that the market always makes at least 6%. So if you're withdrawing 4 or 5 or even 3, you'll be fine. There's no need to worry. Well, what they're not telling you is we do start out with some really bad years. You can completely decimate your portfolio, okay? And depending on when you're watching this, hopefully the market hasn't crashed yet, but you can see where we're at right now, right? Since the 90s, we've had some great markets, great markets, bad markets, and now we're at these all-time highs and we're reaching them every day. So there probably will be a major correction at some point. Who knows when, but if you're on the cusp of retirement and you're withdrawing money, these are the very bad years that you could get in the beginning. Okay, so we want to make sure. If you think this is the new norm, if you think that we'll have a crash and then we'll have a bull market again, a bear, bull bear, then you need to be concerned, okay? And maybe stock market portfolio isn't the best for the entire part of your portfolio. Maybe some, but not the entire, okay? All right, let's go into an income portfolio. Remember, that was another option to fill that income gap. So, pros of an income portfolio. Obviously, it's liquid. Again, we're just buying a basket of utility stocks, bank stocks, preferred shares, income producing investments, okay? It's obviously liquid. We can sell it at any time. It's much less potential for loss, right? They tend to be a lot less volatile than a regular stock market portfolio. You have professional management. Pros, you're not touching the principal, right? So again, it's your principal's invested, it's kicking off dividends, and this is what you're living off of, right? So the principal itself is not being touched, okay? Cons, during market downturns, stock sold will affect income. So I say that it's liquid, but obviously if you're selling stocks because the market's going down, then now I have less stocks and less money to produce income for you. Your income is going to go down, okay? These are things to watch out for when you're trying to fill those gaps and come up with strategies. Obviously it's management fees. Difficult in a raising interest rate environment, and dividends can change, okay? It's unlikely and it doesn't happen very often. And if I ever do employ this strategy, it's in such a diversified portfolio that one company changing dividends is not going to affect it very much, okay? Now, let's look at how that would work and kind of combat one of the myths I hear when we're dealing with income portfolios. Say we buy Fund A at $30 a share, and that allows us to buy 20 shares, okay? Dividends are $2 a year, and they're based on shares, right? Dividends are based on how many shares you own. So because we own 20 shares now at $2 a year, we're getting $40 a year in dividends, okay? Obviously, I'm keeping this example very easy to understand. We wouldn't do this for $40 a year in dividends. Okay, so now Fund A was $30 a share. Let's say we go through a market correction. Now Fund A is only worth $20 a share, okay? It doesn't matter, folks. You still own 20 shares. That's not changing, right? And the dividends is based on how many shares you own. So you still own, or you're still getting $40 a year in dividends. So your income's not necessarily affected with a market downturn, okay? Because we already built the portfolio and we own the shares. So it's always going to stay the same. It's just that the main principal, your main portfolio, the value of it will change okay? Because the holdings in there change if there's a market correction. So if you can stomach a downturn and it's not going to make you want to sell, then maybe an income portfolio would work for you, okay? And these are kind of the things we work out when we first meet, so I can figure out what's the best strategy for you, okay? Now let's look into an annuity. Obviously the pros are guaranteed, right? Insurance company is the only company that can guarantee you a certain income. There's a potential for more income because just the way the annuities work. There's never a loss of principal, okay? And I'm talking mostly about indexed annuities here. Variable annuities, where your money's actually in the market, there's obviously risk of loss there, and you can pay a bunch of extra fees to protect that loss. But in an indexed annuity, you don't have to pay fees to get those same features. So usually that's what I'm talking about is indexed annuities. No fees again in the ones that I recommend. And then additional benefits at no cost, okay? And that's probably, you can find that in another video somewhere on YouTube here where I talk about that, okay? Cons. Obviously not liquid. That's the trade-off with annuities, right? They're going to give you a bunch of guarantees, but in return, they say you cannot have access to all your money. Now, usually every year, you're allowed to take out between 7 and 10% penalty-free if you want it. So that gives you some flexibility, but of course, the trade-offs they're giving you some guarantees, and they have to make sure that you don't just deplete your money right away, okay? And of course, less growth. When you compare money just in the market, if I have a big enough time horizon, obviously the market portfolio is going to outperform the annuity, right? But that's okay for a lot of my clients. Because all my clients are retired or about to retire, they're okay with that. They're okay with not getting the huge returns, but in return, not suffering those losses, okay? And that's what an annuity can provide. Let's talk about why annuities can offer such cool guarantees, okay? If we look at the insurance company balance sheet, I know right there you probably started to fall asleep, but here, let's look at it in a different way than maybe you're used to. Life insurance companies are the only ones that can offer annuities, right? And life insurance policies based on with a death benefit, right? So they're on both sides of the equation. The insurance company wins if you die too late or if you die too soon. Right? An immediate annuity, if you give them all this money and they promise payments for the rest of your life and you die too soon, they win. They get to keep the balance, right? Life insurance, if you're making payments on life insurance and they don't have to pay a death benefit because you live to 130, they win. Folks, they're on both sides of the equation here, and that's why insurance company can provide some pretty great benefits with annuities, okay? So it's good for them, it's good for you. It can be good for everybody. Now, what these three strategies are, how they work for you, depends again on when we first meet and we talk about what your priorities are. If you want income absolutely guaranteed, that gap guaranteed, just like the Social Security and pensions that may be coming in, and you want that for the rest of your life, obviously we're going to lead more towards an annuity. Or if you like the fact that annuities have long-term care benefits without an exam and without fees, we're going to lead more towards annuity. If you have lots of money, and really market downturns won't affect you much, then we're obviously looking more towards an income portfolio or stock market portfolio. And it can be really a mixture of all three. Again, that's what it's going to depend on, maybe your tax situation or something else that's going on. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Dan Casey. Please do not forget to subscribe. Like the video if you like it. Make any comments below. I get notified and I can answer your questions right there. Thanks so much for watching.